I'm David Pakman in Denver, Colorado at the National Conference for Media Reform. I'm here with Kim Gandy, President and CEO of the National Network to End Domestic Violence. Really great to talk to you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
So since the theme of the conference is media, I'd be very interested in hearing just first a general assessment of how women's issues and domestic violence are being covered first by the kind of mainstream corporate media. Are they doing a good job, not a good job? Is it a complete coverage or not?
You know, the coverage of women's issues generally is just terrible. I mean, not just domestic violence, violence against women, sexual assault and the like, but issues that you would think are entirely about women, like abortion and birth control, or if they're covered with men's voices. In fact, there was a study done last year that in interviews and quotes on birth control, abortion, and Planned Parenthood, they were overwhelmingly from men. Fewer than 20% of the quotes on those subjects were from women.
Why is that?
Well, I think it's in part because the media, based on ownership and large corporate conglomerates that own most of the media, the people at the top are men, and most news is covered from a male perspective, which is not bad, but you need other perspectives as well.
Do you get the sense that sometimes coverage of issues that, I guess we can call them women's issues, but really they're issues that are important to everybody, or should be anyway, that the perspectives that are presented on mainstream corporate media reflect more controversy than may exist in real life about the issue? So for example, we just had a poll that showed that increasingly more and more Americans are basically on the side of women should have a right to choose without Rick Santorum intervening what medical procedure is right for them.
Yeah.
However, when you look at mainstream corporate media so-called debates, you have one side and the other side, and the presentation would make you assume that there's much more controversy over it. Birth control, another example, overwhelming support for birth control. The presentation in the media makes it seem like it's a very big debate. Why is that?
Exactly. I mean, I think it's become a food fight in the mainstream media. Most of the shows, you don't have to go to hardball to have everything be an us against them, one side or the other side. I'm not sure whether it's the politics that are being mirrored in the media or vice versa, but you see it in politics as well. A few years ago, the Violence Against Women Act was completely uncontroversial. It was passed unanimously across party lines repeatedly, and in this last Congress it became a huge issue, and it was treated as a big controversy in the mainstream media, and I think resulting from that it was a controversy politically. But if you asked people did they support the Violence Against Women Act, it was overwhelming. Overwhelming.
So when we look at kind of the future of women's issues in media, talk about the importance or potential importance of alternative media outlets, like a lot of the ones represented here, including Free Speech TV. What can be done to step kind of outside of the narrative that many people are probably very used to if they turn on the three-letter news networks?
Exactly. Well, a good example is the recent case in Steubenville, Ohio, the violation of a young girl. Really terrible, terrible situation, and the mainstream media was very focused on the impact of the guilty verdict on the young men, how it was going to ruin their lives. Very, very little about the young woman who had gone through that terrible ordeal, and you wondered, well, where are the women? Where are the people who care about her? They weren't in the mainstream media for the most part. They were online. They were on Free Speech TV. They were on blogs. They were in communities of women that have been built online. And that's where you find those rich voices that are treating the issues holistically and not treating it as a food fight.
Are those voices not being heard on mainstream media because it would be inconvenient to have those views aired because it doesn't make for ratings? In other words, what reason do you think that exists, and it could be none of those or both of them, for keeping those views out?
I'm not sure whether it's a conscious decision to keep certain viewpoints out, but I think there is a conscious decision to seek ratings by having viewpoints that are really controversial and generate a lot of discussion or commentary. I mean, I've certainly been called by reporters and asked, well, we'd like for you to comment on X, what would you say? And when told what I was going to say, got the response, oh, well, all right, we're going to call somebody else that's going to say something more controversial or more
interesting.
edgy.
Wow. I've been speaking with Kim Gandy, President and CEO of the National Network to End Domestic Violence. Really great to see you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.